everybody, and welcome to the Maria Savage podcast. I'm your host, Maria Savage, and today we have a special guest. We have Michael Christopher. So, welcome, Michael.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm super excited you are here. So, Michael, you are an evidential medium and a podcaster host, correct?
Yeah, if you want to call it a podcast, it's a live show that eventually does, I guess, yeah, it does end up on a podcast. So the best of both worlds.
I think it's fantastic. So, you're because it's on YouTube, it's live. You're part of the Spiritual Network with
Yep.
Kelly Brickle, and your show is called Spiritually Imperfect, and
Yes.
it is with your friend, co-host. What was her name?
Jennifer Lee.
Jennifer. I just had it a minute ago. I'm blank. Yes, with Jennifer Lee. So welcome, welcome. So one of the questions people always wonder is how did you get started as a medium? Like, were you always a medium as a kid? Did you have medium
No,
experience? No. Okay,
not
me
even one
neither.
that I can remember.
No.
No.
So then how did you get drawn into this work?
Oh my goodness, kicking and screaming. But so it's a long story, but I will condense it. I will really
We got an
condense
hour.
it. Okay.
Good.
So okay, I always try to remember where it started because I look back and I'm like, okay. So literally between the years of 1997 and 2015, um, some pretty tragic life events happened in our family. 97, I lost my brother Jason at 26 to complications from cystic fibrosis. Uh, in 2010, I got diagnosed with kidney disease. You can't make this stuff up. 2012, my brother Danny went through a double lung transplant because he also had cystic fibrosis. He survived that. He actually survived 5 more years, and then his lungs rejected. Went through another double lung transplant. I think at that point, I'm trying to keep the years together. Somewhere after that, I retired from the United States Air Force. In 2010, my kidneys failed, so I had to start dialysis, look for a kidney. So I had a transplant in December of 2010. And actually, it was 2012. Unfortunately, Danny went into kidney failure, started dialysis himself. So the poor guy, I mean, he went through two double lung transplants. Now he's looking for a kidney. And unfortunately, he ended up developing lymphoma cancer in his lungs. He ended up passing in 2012 at 42. Um, then in 2015, my sister, my youngest sister, was murdered. And again, I'm just condensing all this, but I think all those factors kind of led into what's going on now. But I have to go back because again, I was not aware of my abilities at all. But I remember in 2000, I saw John Edward on TV for the first time, and that was my first exposure to a medium. And I remember me and my wife would tune in every week, and we're like just captivated by what was going on. And I gotta say that was pretty important because when I ended up getting diagnosed with the kidney disease, when you're facing your mortality, you start looking at different things to find comfort. And I found comfort in what mediums do because it at least gave me the option to consider that there's more beyond the physical world. And just that alone gave me so much comfort. And then again, when losing Jason and then Danny, and Jackie, yes, it's a terrible loss. And it's kind of different now when you look back as a medium. I don't look at death the same way. Yes, we lose them physically, but I know they're still somewhere. But again, that whole world of mediumship and all the books and everything I wrote or read over 10 years gave me so much comfort. But the turning event was after Jackie's passing. Um, it was probably a couple months after her passing. I was up for work one morning, and as I'm getting ready, I know I'm the only one up. It felt like somebody walked in the room, and I literally turned around and nobody was there. And I was like, well, that's odd. And went back to doing whatever I was doing. And all of a sudden, I felt that again. But this time, in my mind, I saw my sister standing behind me. And in my mind, I saw her walk up behind me, and she puts her arms around me and she put her head on my shoulder. So I'm seeing this in my mind, but feeling the energy. And I was like, what is happening? I had never had anything like that at all, not an experience like that. And I was kind of freaking out. Like, I know I wasn't thinking about her, and yet this was happening. And then a few, maybe 20, 30 seconds, everything kind of just dissipated. And I was just like, whoa, I don't think I talked about it for maybe 2 weeks because I was like, what just happened? Um, yeah, and it's a long story again, but that event led me to reaching out to a psychic to help with her murder case, which led to me, befriending two ladies that literally just started helping me without asking anything for themselves. And as we were talking, one of them was like, "You're a medium." And I was like, "No, no, I'm not," and she's like, "You are." I'm like, "No." And we argued for a while. And she finally convinced me. She goes, "You know what? I want you to take this development class with this friend of mine." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Whatever, sure." And I forgot there was one part that led to that class. It was during a conversation with my friend Linda one day. We're just having a Skype call. And as we're talking, I hear this voice say, "Tell her it's Jim." And I was just like, all right, now I'm hearing voices. I didn't say anything to her. We kept talking. I heard the voice again, "Tell her it's Jim." Again, I ignored it. Third time, "Tell her it's Jim. I passed the cancer." And I'm hearing this in my mind now. I'd never had this happen before. Finally, I stopped her. I was like, "Linda, I don't know what's happening, but I have this male voice telling me it's Jim and that he passed the cancer." She's like, "That's my father." And I was like, "What do you mean that's your father? You're communicating with my father." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And that's when she said, "You're a medium, take this class." And I was like, "Okay." So I did, and it just blew the doors off because I had such a wrong idea what actual medium was because nobody ever talked about what they experienced. So for me, my understanding was a medium is somebody who sees spirit like they do people. They hear with their ears. So I had no idea that most of us, it's all internal. It's thought, feeling, emotion. So again, that was the turning point.
Oh, wow. So I wanted to ask because you've had a lot of loss. You've had a lot of loss in your life. And then with that experience that you had with your sister Jackie, did she pass away in that moment when you were having that experience? Like, do you know?
No, no, she was a barber and she was actually attacked in her shop on a Friday afternoon in the middle of the day. So somebody broke into the store, hid in the back office, and when she was alone, he came out to try to rob the place and he ended up stabbing her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was such a just ridiculously stupid crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after her passing, has she come to you?
Oh my God, she is like the catalyst of all of this. Um, it's weird too. It's a long story because I never met her in the physical world. This is crazy, but it's my dad's second marriage, and there's like a 14-year age gap between me and her. And me being in the military, going back home, it's like we were two ships passing. We never met. And the last time I was home before her passing, we were all supposed to get together and go out for dinner, and something happened where she couldn't make it. And then it was like a year or two later when this happened. So it's just weird. So it's weird, but it's not weird that I've gotten to know her through my sister that's still living and through the communication and her pushing me to do this work.
So do you find that she works with you when you do your mediumship?
In the beginning, she did. I felt her presence a lot in the beginning. Um, and now for years now, it's kind of just been, me. Yeah, I know she's there. But I don't really feel her too often unless I'm like curious and I just think about her and then, yeah, she's there.
Man,
Yeah.
I love that. Like I know for my daddy passed away last year. So now when I do my mediumship dems, First thing in the morning, I have to have a cup of coffee. I'm addicted to coffee. As soon as I turn on the coffee machine, I feel my dad there. And it's like, okay, Dad, we're going to work today. We're doing
Yeah.
mediumship gems. But that's why I asked. But I don't know, like that's the way I feel him now. Who knows? Like later on, it could be very faint because it always
Yeah.
changes for us, right?
Yeah. And it's
But
like, I think at the beginning it was new to me, and she was really there to encourage me. And she has really helped me not be my worst enemy when it comes to this work, because there's several times where I've wanted to just walk and run away.
yeah.
And I mean, I got a story about one day where I was screaming at her, like, why am I still doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? You know, I was just in one of those moods where I was questioning everything. And I said, you need to give me a sign. And I said, I don't want stinking butterflies. I don't want some feather dust and some, unicorn fart. I need something. I need a sign that I'm doing this, I'm meant to do this. And I'll tell you what, 2 weeks later, I got my sign, and it's kind of a long story, but not, I don't know if you want me to just tell you real quick.
Yeah. We have time.
I
It's
will, but
not a rush.
I, so we normally go down, we used to go to this crystal shop down in this town that's nearly 2 hours away. And we were friends with the manager down there. So we'd go down there once a month. And it was always a good time. We go in there, we would chat, and just, it was a nice environment. And one day we went down, and we usually go on a Friday. This time we went on a Thursday. We normally go out to eat first, and then we go to the shop. This time we went to the shop first. So we pull up and we walk in, and the energy was completely like off. It was like, what is happening? And there was one lady in the corner off to my right when we walked in, and that was it. And then me and my wife walk up to the counter to talk to our friend, and she was just frantically going through paperwork. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm crazy today. And I was like, I'm the one that talks to dead people. I'm the crazy one. And this lady heard that, and she comes bolting right up to the counter. And she's like, she just comes up and she hugs me. She's like, I've been looking for a person like you forever, and she was just explaining that she had a loss, and she wanted to talk with a medium, and she didn't really know any. And I said, well, I'm on a vacation right now, but here's my card. And so I don't do readings on the spot or anything. That's not my usual. This time, she said thank you, and she was still there. And I felt this man step forward, and it was like overwhelming. It was just like I could not shake him. And I looked at her and I said, look, I don't normally do this, but I said, would you be open for a message, now? And she's like, absolutely. And I said, I have this man with me, and he's making me feel that he took his life. And she just dropped to the floor and just like hysterically started crying. Just, why did he do this? And just 10 minutes, just like uncontrolled, just letting it all out. So I asked my friend, I said, can we use your Reiki room? I want to do a reading for her, because I could not just say, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
So I said, let's go back here. So we did the reading. And I could feel a shift, like the energy just completely changed. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the details, but the things were so specific, and everything meant so much to her. After we were done, she's like, I haven't smiled in 2 years since this happened. And she was in a roundabout way telling me she was at her wit's end, and she was about to like cross herself over. That's the point she was at. And and I get kind of choked up about this, because it was like, one of those moments. Um, but we go out, and even my wife and my friend were like, what happened in there? Because the energy just completely changed. Um, and she thanked me, and she's like, this is going to be the best year ever. And, she went on her way, and we did ours. So it was on the way home. I'm driving, and all of a sudden my sister pops in. She's like, was that a big enough sign? And I was like, I completely forgot about what I had just, ranted to her a couple weeks prior. And I was like, yeah, you got me with that one.
Oh, wow. That's such a beautiful story. I was thinking, I've heard that from mediums where they get to a point, I don't know, like, life happens where it's like, am I supposed to be doing this? Really?
Yeah.
Make it easier. Just It's almost like Moses, like, part the waters for me, make it easy. But I find when you choose to go down this path as a professional medium, there's maybe a few bumps in the road.
Oh my
You know,
God.
skinned knees, skinned elbows as we're moving along.
Yeah, it takes a special person to continue to push forward and do this work because, you see the TV mediums and they're all great, but you see 5% of what their life is. You don't
Yeah.
see the other majority where they're just, like you said, dealing with, imposter syndrome or questioning everything about what they're doing and dealing with the criticisms and what you put yourself through. And I think it's for anybody that does this work, you really have to know why you're doing this. You have to have a strong why. What's your reason for doing this? Because if it's just superficial on the surface, you will not survive. That's my belief.
I find too, if it's superficial, your readings are fluffy.
Hmm.
There's one piece of evidence and the rest is so generic. And one of the reasons I actually invited you on the podcast is because you brought my dad through. Kelly Brickle was doing a fundraiser a few weeks ago. Was it because this was in the States? So was it the SPC,
Yeah.
something for animals and
I
for pets
I
or
think
something?
that I think this one was for the wildfires out in
Yeah.
California, the
Yeah.
fundraiser. Yeah.
It was a fundraiser, and I had donated, so anybody could donate whatever
Hmm.
amount you wanted to. And Kelly had brought together a bunch of incredible mediums. And that night, I received a few readings, and you brought my dad through with such incredible evidence. And I think at one point, oh, I was crying so much because every medium that brought my dad through, I was like, oh my God. And then it would be pieces of evidence that no other medium had brought through, which I love the way my dad worked with every medium. It's like, you're going to know it's me again. And then it would be like, wait, I've never heard that story. That's really cool from that medium. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just,
Yeah.
yeah. And then because it touched my heart so much, I was like, I have to have him on my podcast and share him with the world because it was, you go so deep with your evidence and you really, really surrender to spirit. And you're just like, I'm here to be a service. At least that's the way I witness. It was probably completely different when you're going through it. But to me, watching, I was like, wow, he's just taking his time uh, to speak the message that my dad wants him to share. Like you didn't rush through the reading. It was so heartfelt, so heart-centered. So I just want to say thank you for that reading. It was beautiful. And this is why I go to these stems, not to always get readings, but when I do, my dad comes through, I'm like, oh, it's like the cherry on top. If I don't get a reading, it's perfect too, because I
Hmm.
love watching everybody else have that moment because it's always so beautiful to witness that. But when I receive a reading, it's just the cherry on top of the ice cream. That's it.
Oh, and I appreciate that so much. Because it is, as a medium too, it's rare that you get feedback,
Yeah.
in some cases, which leads to the questioning yourself. Did I really impact this person? And like you said, what you see is what you get. When I'm channeling, it's like whatever they show me, whatever I feel, you get it exactly how they're showing. I don't try to create a story about it. It's like if he shows me a pig riding a pony, I'm going to talk about the pig riding a pony.
Yeah.
you know and I think, for me, I said this from the beginning when I finally surrendered and said, okay, I'm going to do this, but remember, you picked me. I always say that to my team. It's like, you picked me, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
um so
I
I'm
find
rough
that.
around the edges, and I do things my own way. And we said, it's like I don't have the patience or attention span to learn symbols or any of that, so it's like you got to give it to me straight.
I try that. It doesn't work for me. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't. And then I tried the checklist. I tried studying years ago with a medium that does the checklist. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
it's like my brain, it didn't work. But other mediums and friends of mine, they're like amazing at it. I'm like, I just want like just talk. Just like push me out of the way.
That
Say what you need to say and surrender, and that's it. I can't have complicated. My brain doesn't function that way. But I do want to talk about something because I find it interesting. Because you said
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, and then we were having a little chat before we hit record about my own experiences. So I am curious for you,
Hmm.
do you feel within your mediumship that you surrender 100%? Do you think we ever actually surrender 100%? I don't know. I've been having
You
that
know,
big question inside my mind
yeah.
lately with spirit.
I don't think I've ever actually thought about it. I, I have my own thing where I don't do any processes. I don't sit down and meditate before reading. I just sit down and go because early on, I didn't have the attention span to sit and meditate before reading. And for a while, I'm like, this is me. I sit here and I just stare at my wall and think about things. And I'll get to the question. But I remember thinking, why do I have to meditate to talk to the spirit world? I don't have to meditate to talk to a person. They're here. I know they're here. So I guess in a way, when I shift my mind to
Yeah.
spirit, I surrendered. This is yours. Do with it whatever you want. It's yours.
Yes. I think that's perfect. I wonder when I hear stories from mediums, I'm like, did they have that kind of was it as scary as they like for me it was terrifying.
I
So
can
I
only
just had
imagine.
yeah, I had that whole question and I think somewhere in the back of my mind that fear of not being able to tell the difference. Because what would happen to me too is like the way I see you, I would see spirit. But if something was happening in your life, my whole surroundings would change. Like the walls would no longer be there. I am now in a forest. Everything, which, do you ever watch the
Wow.
TV show Ghost Whisper? Do you
Yeah.
remember like
Oh,
her?
yeah.
That was mine. Like the whole room would transform. So it was so weird. I don't know why I'm
I
sharing.
was going to ask you all about that because when I watched you with Kelly, like he said before we started this chat today, I am just beyond intrigued with that because that's not my experience. And I always wondered, I've asked, and it's funny because I asked my sister, I'm like, why can't I see you? Why won't you show yourself to me? And it's literally the thought she sent me was, you lost me once. She goes, what is seeing me again going to do? You're going to want to see me again and again and again. So again, this is just a thought that downloaded when I asked her that question, but it has to do with letting go, and
Yeah.
her message basically was like, I'm no longer in the physical world. And you have to be able to deal with that. Yes, I'm here where I'm at, but coming back again in that way is just going to bring you're going to have to let go of me again and again and again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she made me feel about that. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And she said, be careful what you ask for. I was like, okay, got it.
That is so true. I don't know. I don't know. That conversation has me in this wonder state. And I'm also that skeptic because I think it's super healthy to question everything. And it's like
Oh, yeah.
where I'm at now in my mediumship, could I handle seeing spirit like that? And I have all this training and back
Yeah.
then I knew nothing. So I was just like just a deer in the headlights.
I don't
So
know. I think in my mind, I think I should say I feel they don't give us what we can't handle.
yeah.
And I really believe that because I've asked for a lot of stuff that hasn't happened, and I know there's a reason. Because I think everybody goes through, why can't I get your names consistently? Why,
Yes.
why, why do you make me go through the process of having to feel things out instead of saying, hey, my name's Rick. I passed of cancer in 1972. If it was only that easy, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. And again, I think it's just because they're not human. It's mind to mind, soul to soul
Yeah.
communication, and that's how it works. We just feel into who they were, and then we get those impressions.
I think what too, I met a medium. I remember when I was first looking to be trained, I just wanted to meet somebody like me.
Mm-mm.
And I
Yeah.
get, yeah, yeah, I get it. And then when I talk about that, nah, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You think it's like a little picture. No, like you're just not, because I would meet the mediums that would dismiss me. And
Mm,
so for anybody that's listening to this podcast right now, or you're watching it, know that we see you, we hear you, we believe you, because every medium has different experiences, the way spirit works with them. That's unique
hmm
to them. And I think it's important to be believed, because I wasn't believed. And it would be like top-notch mediums, and they would look at me and be like, yeah, I don't know about your story. I'd be like,
I
but
think in a way
it happened.
it probably threatened them in a way. I feel that's what happens a lot of times. Unfortunately, with mediums, that I see a lot of people that get very, and I think it's just because they're still working through whatever, but they don't want that person to be better than them because then they're threatened in some way. That's just my perception. Because I feel it's like I encourage everybody I run into, it's like you be you,
I agree.
and don't try to change. You need to be you. You have a special gift that you need to share. And I see so many people that try to emulate their teachers, other mediums. I'm like, no, I know it's hard. I mean, I'm a screwball. I'm just a goofy guy, but I've never tried to be anybody else. I'm like, you will draw the people will find you and your
Yeah.
personality. And I think you just have to just be yourself and just let it be what it's going to be, you
I
know?
agree. I do feel like that part of my mediumship will come back, because I'm starting to get glimpses and I'm starting to feel it. And I'm like, okay, I think I just need spirit to hold my hand just a little bit tighter, maybe two hands when that experience happens. I just need two hands. That's it. I'm totally good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm in this space of, I just want to have fun. And I remember again having a conversation with another medium. And it's like, oh, I really want to be like this medium, and they're so amazing. And I was like, you know what? And in that moment, I'm like, I just want to be me. I
Yeah.
studied with so many incredibly gifted mediums, and they're so amazing, and I've learned so much. But at the end of the day, I just want to be me. It's too hard
Yeah.
to be everybody else.
Yeah. And, something I try to tell other mediums that are just starting is no matter what class you take, listen. I love observing other mediums. I love hearing everybody's techniques because you can always grab something from that and kind of make it your own. And I think it's very important when you take a class, again, take the tools that you're given, but you got to find a way to implement them in your way
Yeah.
to make them work. And some will work for you, some won't, you
Yeah.
know. Like me, I was so against meditation in the beginning. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I don't have the patience for it. And guess what? Spirit's here. So again, I meditate, I do it for different reasons. But
Yeah.
again, I had to find my own way, so, and
Me
I'm
too.
stubborn.
What are you, a Scorpio? I'm a Scorpio.
I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo. I'm Italian and Irish. So those are like, yeah, what a combination.
Scorpio and Portuguese. So we got the
Uh-oh.
European thing happening there.
Yep.
I love it because I just find, like, I meditate in the morning, but I've always meditated after I hurt my back. I had a lot of bad reactions to medication. So meditating, I taught myself to leave my body on purpose so I wouldn't feel so much pain. But yeah, I didn't realize I was actually strengthening my mediumship by meditating so much. But what I noticed too, when I would go do dams, like some mediums are like, I need to be quiet, I need to meditate, which is fantastic. Go meditate. But for
Yeah.
me, I have that New Year's energy when it's to do with dams. I was like, oh my God, I gotta talk, I gotta talk.
Yes.
I'm like, you're
Same.
getting me sitting down nowhere meditate. It's not gonna happen because I can already feel spirit, and it feels like New Year's Eve, and I love that feeling. You know, when you do the countdown at New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
'cause that's like, oh my God, the spirit world's here. We're celebrating. They're coming to meet their family members. I love it. Yeah, that's just my experience.
Yeah. Oh, me too. They'd show up a day ahead of time. And I'm like, not now. It took me a while to figure it out because I get so moody the day
Yeah,
before and just like want to be by myself. And I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And it finally made sense that they're excited probably more than I am, or, even more excited than the people that are going to be there. So it was like, okay, but you're same. I'd walk in, I'm just like, I can't sit down, I can't stand. I'm just like, let's go. This energy is, it's like crazy.
Yeah, it's that giddy energy. I love it.
Yeah,
And then just remember again for those that are listening, just honor how it works for you because it may not work for you the way it works for us. Maybe yours is like you just have to be quiet. Whatever. Be unique, be you, and honor that. And no imposter syndrome here. Nobody.
yeah,
If you learn nothing else from this podcast, just be you.
that's right.
I
No
love.
matter
So,
what.
do you have any interesting stories of mediumship or mediumship readings you want to share with us?
Wow. I mean, the stories are just endless, and it's just, I mean, just when you think you have things figured out, they change it up on you too. I've noticed that. Like when you get comfortable, like I remember in the beginning, like clairvoyance was my thing. And after a while, it was like, why am I no longer seeing things? And I thought, what am I doing wrong? And I think it was just spirit going, nope, we're going to kind of take that away for a little bit because you need to develop some feelings,
Yeah.
men and feelings. So they're like, okay, we're going to get into, you're going to feel things now. I'm like, oh. So I quickly learned that you got to just be open and just be open because spirit's going to trigger different things.
Yeah.
And you just got to be aware of that. But just the humor that they bring through, and I think it's a universal message that they know how hard it is for us that are still here. They know, but they want us to know also and reiterate that this is temporary. This physical life is temporary, and you need to take up every moment, and you need to enjoy every moment, and you're not dishonoring them by laughing again and continuing to live your life. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Um, and they find ways during readings to get me to say things to make their people laugh. And it's like
Yeah.
that's what they want. They want you to be that happy again. They are, they just want us to be happy. So I don't know how many readings I've had like teenagers come through and I'll ask them because I usually ask them like, what do you do to let your mom or dad, what do you do to let them know you're there? And this was the first time I was doing this dem, and there was like, I'll just say it. Most of the audience are women. Very few men come to dems. But so I asked this kid, I was like, so what do you do? Without hesitation, he's like, oh, I fart. And it caught me so much by surprise. I had to sit down. I was like, give me a minute, people, because I could not stop laughing. I was like, every time I went to try tell, I was like, I'd start giggling. I'm like, trying to think of a nice way to say this. And I was like, okay, I was like looking at her, I was like, I can't figure out a nice way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. I said, I asked your son how he lets you know you're around or let you know that he's around. And without hesitation, he goes, I fart. And her jaw dropped. And she looks back. There was a friend of hers 2 rows back, and they must work together. She goes, I knew it was him. She goes, I was at work the other day, and all of a sudden, my cubicle, I just smelled this sulfur smell. And she goes, who did that?
Oh my goodness. I love it. I think that's funny. I love the humor that they bring through
Yeah.
because
It's not all serious. It's like they don't want to live that moment of their past and they want you to know it. I'm still me.
yeah. So I am wondering, has your mediumship changed over the years?
Oh, definitely. It's it seems to constantly be evolving,
Yeah.
and you just got to roll with it. It's like we were talking about, there's some people that use the checklist. I did that in the very beginning because I think it's an ideal way to kind of start so you have that structure, you're learning to work with spirits, so it's kind of like okay, but then at some point you got to let go of that. And a lot of time I spent thinking it's like, how would I act when I came through? When I would sit there, well, I died of this and I was this old and blah blah. No, it's like, hey, an example, when my brother Jason, if he was to come through to a medium, and I've thought about this, all the medium would have to say is, I have a male here, and he's showing me a deer rifle, and he shows me a Corvette. That's all you need to tell me. Because when my brother was still here, he came
Yeah.
back from deer hunting, was unloading his gun in the driveway, and it went off and it shot my brother's Corvette. He put a bullet into my brother's Corvette engine.
Yeah.
So it's like that's Jason. I know it's Jason. So
Yeah.
it's like those little things that the person that I'm sitting with, they know. I don't have to tell them the story. They know it. All I got to do is say, your dad's here and he wants me to talk about XYZ. Do you understand this? I'm like, yeah,
You know what? Now you have me thinking. I love it when my guests make me think. 'Cause I'm thinking about, so my dad passed away October 31st last year, so Halloween. Every time he has come through, never once has he talked about his illness. Ever. He's never said,
yeah,
I died of this, this happened. He's never talked about the end of his life. He'll come through, he'll talk about Halloween because he loved Halloween and the grandkids. He always comes through like, I got somebody's dad here and he's happy and he's a jokester because that was my dad. He was always funny. But it's almost like spirit knows. It's like, she doesn't need to go there because that was painful.
yeah,
So, and it's like, I want to bring the good memory. So my dad has never once come through and identified himself as like the ending of his life. And I've had visitations from him, and he's always healthy when he comes through. And it's just, he just finished retiring and he was so vibrant and full of life. And those are his visitation dreams
yeah,
that I have. They're not the where he's so sick. So I find that
yeah.
fascinating you brought that up because spirit knows. They know what they want to bring through, and sometimes they don't want to talk about their diagnosis.
No, it's like they went through this once. They don't, especially if it's a traumatic passing, it's like who wants to go back and relive that?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They remind you like that's not my life. I had this life. There was so many good memories and so many good things that we can talk about. Yeah, we went through that. I don't let's talk about, me throwing you in the swimming pool, teaching you how to learn to swim.
Yeah. I find that super interesting. And my dad found you, and I had a beautiful reading. So again, thank you. Because it was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just it's just I mean, when you sit here and I've done it many times, I get my wall.
Yeah.
And I wish I could take this picture down because my wife paints and she painted a picture years ago. And one day I'm like, oh my God, that's my spirit guide. I'll try to take a picture and throw it up on the screen here. Um,
That is
and
awesome.
there's gonna be a light in there too, but I'm doing the best I
That's,
can. But I'll try to make this.
see a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like a
kind of
woman
hard.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture later. But it's so I
Okay.
sit and I just stare and I just ponder things and I completely lost what we were talking about now. So I
I
stopped to
think
take.
I think it's super important to question. Well, we were talking about my dad and how they come through and pass us messages,
Oh,
and they're
okay, yeah.
unique, and they find the right medium to pass the message to the person. And then
Hmm.
I also want to add, if you got trained with a checklist, that's perfect too. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
we'll find the people. It's just you do what works for you. One is not better than another, so just want to put that out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. Again, you just got to be yourself and don't be afraid to be yourself. And I'll say this, don't be afraid to push yourself. If
Yeah.
you ever get into that point where you're feeling, this is just my opinion, for me, this is the pressure I put on myself. I don't ever want to be comfortable doing this work.
Yeah.
I constantly want to push myself because there's more. There's so much more um, out there, that we have to discover in the time that we have that, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's a good thing. I think it's motivation.
I think so too. You know what? I did a reading once. It was such a unique reading. Uh, and there were no people in my reading. They were all her farm animals.
Yeah, isn't
They
that crazy when
all
that happens?
started first with her dog that she had just put down. Beautiful. Then I never had a donkey come through, and I had her donkey and parrot. And it was like they come to life. That was like I'm going to say my most unique reading where no spirit person came through. She was like a farmer. So it was like it was her pets. That was the most like unique reading I've ever done. Do you have a unique reading? Do you remember unique?
Oh
Because
my
there's so
God.
many.
I, and it deals with an animal. I was doing a reading once and she's a friend of mine. And she said, "Do you channel animals?" And I said, "You know what? I've never tried." I said, "Let's see what happens." As soon as I said that, I'm like, I have a horse here. And it was like communicating with a person. The horse tells me he had dementia. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I've seen him. And I said, I was describing what he's telling me that he had dementia. I said, he shows me like he would walk into the fence post and back up. And they would go to the side of the barn and like walk into the barn, hit his head, back up, do it again. And she's just losing her mind crying. She goes, yeah, he had dementia. And that's exactly what he would do. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm talking to Mr. Ed now. And, I'm like, oh my God. And then her boxers come through. There was like two boxers. I'm like, but I find it I find it so funny that, yes, you could channel a person's family, but if an animal comes through, people lose their mind to like, forget my dad. I want to talk with my dog,
Because they're our family. They're my family. And I think too at Kelly's fundraiser, my dog came through. My dog came through and my cat came through and they never come through. And somebody brought my pets through too with my dad, which my dad loved animals, but because I totally believe our pets have souls.
Oh, yes.
Souls. They come through in readings. And it was weird because I don't know about you, but I went through like 6 months. I swear every reading, if there were more animals coming through than there were people.
It's
Just went
it's
through
such a
this
treat
time.
when that happens.
Isn't that wild? Like, do you notice that with the spirit world? Like, you go through a period of time and your readings are kind of like, I don't know, like they're all about one topic, but then you're also dealing with that topic within your own life and doing that inner work and that inner healing. And then you go to a new chapter of your life, and then all of a sudden, all your readings are kind of based off that chapter of your life. I don't know. Have you ever had that experience? I know some mediums do, some don't, but I notice I do.
I know that there's times where I'll get a lot of people come through that took their own life. Um, and it comes in spurts. It really does. But yeah, it'll be like a few here and there, but they're grouped together. Um, I don't think I really pay attention other than and a lot of young children. I'll get like babies that come through that either made it into the world that didn't live that long and I often wonder why. And a few of my friends, other mediums, they kind of put it in perspective that, well, maybe because I'm a guy, I don't have those maternal instincts of losing a child in that way, that I'm able to just keep my composure and deliver the message, without falling apart. Not that I'm, heartless, but I have a way of just compartmentalizing. I keep my emotions out of it. And I think that a lot of women, when they have those type readings, they relate so heavily to it that it's hard for them to keep their emotions. So, and I was like, that kind of makes sense that they would come through because they know I'm just going to tell them the story. I'm going to give them the evidence. I don't know. Um,
No, I feel
yeah,
like again, it's that age-old story, spirit picks the medium,
yeah.
the perfect medium that's going to deliver the message to their loved ones, uh, and deliver it with such kindness and compassion. So they always find the right medium.
Yep. And if the person's a goofball, well, they know I'm not going to edit. If if they cuss like a sailor, I'm letting it fly because that's their personality. So
I find that so interesting. And then you had said something earlier that I found interesting because I was kind of going through this where you were talking about feeling. Like I went
yeah.
through a period within my mediumship where I could feel, but don't feel too deeply because then I couldn't handle it. So I would use all my other clairs and just avoid the feeling. And then one day, Spirit's like, we're going to take all the other clairs away. And you're just, for the next couple of months, your readings, they're just going to be feeling. I don't know how many times I've like to hold back the tears because I'm like, this is a lot, Spirit. The feeling's hard. So it's not just men, it's women too. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you find that hard? Like,
Well,
does
it was funny
spirit do
because
that?
I didn't realize I was doing it because I'm always joking that I'm a cold-hearted, SOB joking
Yeah.
around and I don't have any feelings. And I remember my first teacher, and I was like, I don't feel anything. And then before you know it, I'd be saying things like, well, I feel like he wants me to tell you this, or I feel he wants to say this. And she's like, I thought you didn't have any feelings. I'm like, well, I don't. She goes, you just delivered everything like clairsentiently. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess I did.
I've done that too. But then I remember one of my mentors going, yeah, Maria, so like go deeper. I feel like I don't want to because
I
I
don't want
know
to.
I'm going to start to cry
Yeah.
and I don't want to cry. So and this mentor would be like, yeah, you could get away with that with the general public, but not in my class. And you got to go deeper. And let me tell you, I got out for like 4 days of intensive training. I got a Kleenex because I was
Oh
crying. I was
no.
like, there you go. We went deeper. It's like, yeah,
There.
because there's that inner healing. And just
Yeah.
when you think you've healed whatever issue you're going through, spirit will be like, we're going to bring it up a little bit higher. And you're like, oh, I'm dealing with that again, but you're going deeper. So again, comes out the Kleenex.
Yep.
It's
Oh,
intense, but it's good. It's good training. I think it's super important to have a mentor that knows you, that gets you, and that knows how far they can push you without, going, there's a limit, right? Like we need
yeah.
nudged, just that, hey, let's encouragement. That's what I'm going to go with.
And I'm actually looking right now. I was like, I haven't taken a class in a while, and I'm like thinking about, I just want to because I love being in a group with people. I love, like I said earlier, like I love watching other people work, and you can always learn something. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And there's always tools that people use that probably I'm not even aware of. And I'm like, I just feel like I'm at that point where it's like, I need a little bit of a push right now.
Oh, I
So who
push.
knows? Oh, good.
I've been pushed so hard. You start to push yourself. You're like, oh, let's go over here. Let's
Yeah.
just like, hey, spirit. And you can set the intention with the spirit world. I find within my mediumship, because I have been training so intensely for the last 5 years, I'm kind of like, and when I'm done my last mentorship, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm like cooked. Like you're kind of
Yeah.
ready and we're done. But you have to do what's right. And then I have other friends uh that have taken like a little bit of training and and that works for them. So I think it's like everybody's different and the readings are still incredibly heart-centered and they set that intention with the spirit world. It's like, push me. I want to do more of this. And I
Yeah.
find it incredible how each medium develops. I think it's so cool. And that's why you're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And I appreciate being here. I love talking about this stuff. Because like you were been saying, everybody's got a different perspective and listen to somebody talk, you just are like, wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah. I used to do psychic fairs and I thought it was so weird. I remember this woman walking by me and she's like, what kind of meeting were you? And I was like, I didn't even know how to respond to that question. I was like, I'm an evidential psychic medium. Oh, so you don't identify as a clairvoyant medium? I'm not booking with you. And I was just like, what? Like I feel
I
like
don't understand that either.
I didn't understand that. I was like, because I don't call myself a clairvoyant medium. And for those that do, I think that's fantastic. But when you're in a psychic fair and you're with the general public, I thought it was so interesting that she was like, I'm like, but I'm good. You want to get reading from me. No, you didn't call yourself clairvoyant medium. And I thought, oh, that's so odd.
I
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just labels. That's one of my pet peeves about this is when you think about it, there's no labels on the other side. You're a soul that has a body. And the only reason I'm an evidential medium is because my very first teacher said I was. I didn't know what it was. And then I adopted it and then realized what it meant. I'm like, oh my God, did I just put a whole lot of pressure on myself? Now I got to live up to this title. But I think everybody is an evidential medium. You're going to bring through evidence of the person coming through. So whether You want to call yourself a psychic medium, an evidential medium. In a way, we're all, I don't want to say we're all the same, but in a way we are. It's like we're
Yeah.
doing the same thing, you know?
But you know what you reminded me of? Because I remember at one point, like I was so embracing psychic medium and I had done a reading and this person's like, well, that wasn't psychic enough. You didn't give me enough future evidence. It's like, well, first of all, how do you even prove that? I'm just giving you what
Yes.
I feel may happen. I can't guarantee the outcome. And then because I had that experience, I was like scared to call myself psychic medium. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh, I'm dropping. For a while, I dropped the psychic because I got so stressed and
So did I,
pressure.
because I'm like, whoa, no.
It's a lot
I
of
go out of
pressure.
my way to tell people that I don't predict the future. I read the energy, I give you perspectives. I may
Yeah.
take the blinders off to help you look at a broader picture, giving you perspective. But I
Yeah.
said, I don't believe I can't predict the future. Have I? Yes, but it's not intentional. It just happens as part of the reading, and I'm not aware of it, not all the time, but I think it's just tuning into somebody's energy and helping them or shed the light on something to give them like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
To me, that's what intuitive means. It's helping them figure things out for themselves.
No, I love it. But you were talking about titles. That's why I was like, because
Yeah.
I know in the beginning of mediumship development, there is that uh I don't know, quiet. What do you call yourself? You're
Yeah.
like,
Who am I? What am I? I don't
what
even
am I?
know.
Who am I? So if you guys are listening to this and you're still trying to figure out, am I a spiritual medium? Am I intuitive? Am I psych? Pick what feels right and then
Yep.
know it's okay to change your mind because I went through that period and it's interesting because it was all because of one person that threw me off. And it's
Hmm.
and I hear these stories of mediums that go and do platform and nobody takes one of their person and then they quit mediumship altogether and then 6 months later they'll run into that person, they'll be like, you have my person, I was just too scared to say you have my person.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh
like,
my
and I think
God.
it's that imposter syndrome where like, oh, I'm not that good, I'm gonna throw in the towel. I don't think that way anymore, but I used to. But that was
Oh,
in the beginning. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I think we all go through that phase of thinking we blew it and because people don't claim their people. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
I, I could talk offline about one that I'll never forget because it was like that proved to myself. It's like just give what you're getting. Don't worry about it because it's going to make sense in some way. So it's like, yeah. But I think we need those experiences to teach us that lesson that sometimes people don't remember things because they're in that moment. Or like you said, they're afraid to raise their hand and claim it because they don't know. They're just like maybe that's their first experience and they're in shock. Who knows? But it teaches you to trust the spirit world.
Yes, it does. And I love that we're having this conversation. So for those of you that are listening to this or watching this, know you're not alone, knowing that what we are sharing right now is normal. Every single medium, I feel, we all go through that imposter syndrome, that, oh my God, do I throw in the towel? What am I doing? Why am I
Mhm.
doing
Why do we do this to ourselves?
why am I doing this to myself? And then, oh, I remember when I first started psychic fair, I don't know what it was. Like people would yell at me and I'd just be like, oh my God, they yelled at me. And then by the second year, I was like, wait, then I own my power because I was just so scared of being seen. That's what it
Hmm.
was. I was terrified of being seen. And then and then if I didn't get the right evidence, I would get people that would be like, well, you didn't say XYZ, but I gave you 20 pieces,
Yeah.
but you didn't say that one piece. I'm not taking it. So in the beginning, I used to internalize that. I'd be like, oh, why am I even doing this? And then
Yep.
it builds thicker skin, resilience, and trust with the
Yep.
spirit world. But you have to
Yep.
go through it. Some people are going through it. No, you will survive this. No, you will be okay. Just keep going. Don't quit. If it's your soul's calling, please don't quit because
Yep.
spirit world needs you to pass those messages to their loved ones.
They absolutely do.
Is that not funny? Did you have experiences like that where you're just like,
Oh my God. It's like the one that just popped into my head, I was doing a dem and it was so frustrating because one woman had like three people come through. And then all of a sudden it's like nobody was claiming. I'm like, okay. So I said, you know what? I'm going to explain to you how this works for me. And I said, I'm just going to go through an example. Or I said, by chance, if this makes sense, just let me know.
Yeah.
So I said, for instance, like I'm opening up right now. So I have this man, and I still remember the evidence. I have a man stepping forward. He has shown me that he was in the clergy. I don't feel he was just like a churchgoer. I feel like he was like a priest or he was in the church. I said he also loved the ocean because he shows me living by the ocean. He's also telling me that he was diabetic and that his wife used to hide candy because he was not disciplined enough. Um, Something about there was something else, but this is the big one. And he's talking about missing a thumb, like there's something with a thumb. So I stopped there and I said, so that's everything that this person made me feel. Does anybody recognize this gentleman? Nobody raised their hand. I'm like, okay. So I go on to something else, and this lady raises her hand. She goes, I got to talk about that guy that you just had. She goes, my uncle went to college to be a priest. He lived by the ocean. He was a diabetic. And I'm looking at her like, are you kidding me? And she's like, yeah, his wife used to have to hide the candy. But the reason I didn't raise my hand is because he didn't lose a finger or a thumb. That was my dad that lost his finger. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. It wasn't like I was just giving her like vague stuff. It was like that specific. And I was like, oh my God, I want to leave right now because, oh my God.
It does happen. Like we do have these experiences, and then it's just like, hey, if it's meant to be, it was meant to be. I had a deb where I gave a piece of evidence. Oh, I remember I brought in somebody's grandfather and she wouldn't take it. And I was so confused because I felt like I was with her. And then somebody else took it and I was like, okay, but it didn't feel right. But I was in the beginning of uh my mediumship training. So I was like, okay, like it didn't feel. And then at the end, she comes up to me. She's like, "Oh, you totally had my grandfather." I was like, "Why did you say anything?" Oh, the people would look at me. I didn't want anybody to know that was my grandfather. I was like, "What?" I go, "I didn't say anything bad." She goes, "But I'm very shy and I didn't want to put my hand up." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough. It happens." But at least I knew. But also, so many times you do gems and you don't get the stories. I'm so grateful
Yeah.
people come up to me, but sometimes I don't. And that's again that you got to trust spirit 100% and know you did right by them and that the messages were um, given with such empathy, kindness, and compassion and healing.
Yeah. Yep. You just have to trust.
Yeah. So for those of you guys listening, we do have some funny stories.
Oh, yes.
But we play hard, we work hard. I will say
Yeah.
that.
And then we
We,
laugh about it afterwards when things
we
like this
cry a
happen
lot
because it's
too
like,
in between, and it's
oh
all
my
good. It's all
God.
good.
Yeah. Yep.
So I am wondering, as we're coming to the end of our interview, I always like to ask this one question. For somebody that is brand new, so they're brand new to mediumship and they don't know where to start because there's so much out there. And they come to
hmm
you, Michael, and they ask, where should I start? What would be your piece of advice for someone brand new? How do you start?
Yeah. So first I ask him what interests you the most? Because there's so many modalities out there, right? There's psychic, there's mediumship, there's Reiki, there's things I probably never even heard of. But like you said, there's so much and it's so overwhelming with the amount of information. So I just ask them, like, what gets you excited? Is it mediumship? Is it psychic? Like for me, from day one, it's like mediumship. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about anything else. And that's what I pursued. So I would say start with that. Start with what really interests you and then take a class. Find somebody and be very picky about who you decide to train with. Get referrals, learn about the person because that teacher can make or break your path going forward. If you become disheartened because of the way they teach, that could just say, okay, this is not for me. So I'd say find a good teacher. Don't be in a hurry. This is a lifelong journey. Enjoy every second of your development. Don't try to get from novice to I'm going to do a platform demonstration in 3 months. Let it come when it comes, but enjoy the journey and just take it all in. And just you constantly, I think you have to occasionally sit back and just think about what we do as mediums. And every time I do, it just blows my mind. It's like we communicate with people that aren't physically here, and it's just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, when you first make that connection and somebody validates, it's like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah. And I think too, what you said in the beginning, you have to have a strong why. Why do you do this?
Yes, because it'll literally chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah,
And I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but the stuff we go through to do this work,
it's
you
hard work.
know, it's hard work, and I know why, because I've been on both sides of that, giving a reading and receiving, from people I've lost, and just the responsibility that comes along with that. It's just like, not, this should never be taken lightly, because you can destroy a person by giving them a bad reading, because they're sitting in front of you grabbing straws and hoping that their person is literally still with them. And
Yeah.
that's our job. We have to leave them without a doubt in their mind that their person was there.
You know
And you
what?
do that through the evidence.
I agree. You just reminded me the one thing that upsets me when I hear people come to me and they've had a reading, your loved one stuck, you didn't pray enough for them.
Oh
And
my God,
don't
yes.
say that. That's not that messes with people's heads, and it's not true. They are
No, they're
all
not
welcome
stuck.
into what's that saying? We are souls having a human experience.
Yeah,
Nobody is like stuck because you didn't pray enough for them or they've gone to hell. It's like I don't believe in any of that. So
no.
like that could do damage. I do know after my dad passed away, my readings went a lot deeper.
Mm,
And the one thing, and I always heard it from people when they would book reading is like, oh, why'd you book a reading? And they always used to say, I just need to know they're okay. And I would hear that and I would understand that as a medium. But it wasn't, and I've had a lot of people pass away in my family and people that have been very close, but it wasn't until the passing of my dad. And then I would hear like people say that, and it hit home different. Like I
yeah,
just need, and I know I know he's okay, but it's just those words just had a heavier weight in my heart. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I so understand on a deeper level. So thank you. You just triggered that memory. I just had to
yeah.
share. But yeah, because life changes us and I love how you said the mentors. And I think like I'm gonna put a little plug here. I love the journey within in the US because they offer a lot of little mini courses and you can go
Mhm.
check out little like 2, 3 hours and be like, does this resonate? Do I want to be trans? Do I want to be this? Do like
Right.
and I and that was like one of the things I did in the beginning of my mediumship. I just tried a little mini course because you get to know different mentors. Be like, do I resonate? Don't I resonate? And then don't let people talk you out of studying with a certain person because it resonates for you but didn't resonate for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Because,
So yeah,
yeah.
I think those are good words to live by. Very good advice.
Yes.
There's just
Absolutely.
a lot out there. So before we go, what are you up to so people know? And I will have your website up.
Yeah.
So you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, correct?
Yep. Instagram, Facebook.
You-
I have a YouTube channel. Um, but yeah, I do private readings. Mostly right now, it's either phone readings or Zoom.
Yeah,
Um, it's starting to get warmer again, so people are wanting to go out. So maybe I'll do some more in-person dems
yeah.
this spring and summer. But yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. but I also work a full-time job, so this is kind of like, something I do on the side for
Yeah.
now. So, but yeah, I'm just here and there and just kind of enjoying the journey.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much for being with us today. For everybody that's listening, thank you for listening, for watching. I'm going to have all of Michael's information. Reach out to him. I know I had a mediumship reading from him, and it touched my heart. He brought my dad, and I'm so grateful for that. So I just want to say thank you and goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.